Hello everyone. Some might say that with composers like Mozart around, who needs anyone else? Well, this week we have a composer whose life was just as colourful as Mozart's. But while Mozart died in a pauper's grave, this composer left an estate worth £160,000, and that is about 5.06 million in today's money.
David Ivor Davis, who we know as Ivor Novello, was born in 1893 in Cardiff. His father was a rent collector for the city council, and his mother, Clara Novello Davis, an internationally known singing teacher and choral conductor.
As a boy, Novello had a lovely voice and had many successes at the Welsh Eisteddfod. His mother taught singing both in Cardiff and then in London.
In London, Novello met leading performers, including members of the George Edwards Gaiety Theatre Company, composers such as Landon Ronald, and singers like Adelina Patti and Clara Butt, who taught him to sing Abide With Me when he was just 6.
Novello went to a private school in Cardiff and then also in Gloucester, where he studied harmony and counterpoint with Herbert Brewer, the cathedral organist.
He won a scholarship to Magdalen College School in Oxford, where he was a solo treble in the choir. According to Novello, this prolonged childhood exposure to early sacred choral music made him a rebel with a taste for lush, romantic music.
Novello's teacher, Herbert Brewer, told him that he would have no success in music, although Novello showed an early flair for songwriting. His first song was published when he was only 15.
After leaving school, he taught the piano in Cardiff, and then in 1913 moved to London with his mother. They lived in a flat above the Strand Theatre, which was to become his permanent London home for the rest of his life.
Mentoring is by no means a 21st century concept. In London, Novello had a mentor in Sir Edward Marsh, who was a well-known patron of the arts. He was also Churchill's secretary.
Marsh both encouraged Novello to compose and introduced him to people who could help his career. He adopted his mother's middle name, Novello, as his professional surname, but he didn't change it legally until 1927.
At the start of the First World War in 1914, Novello wrote "Keep the Home Fires Burning," a song that expressed the devastation felt by families because of the war.
Novello wrote the song to lyrics by the American Lena Gilbert Ford. It made him an overnight star, bringing him money and fame at the age of 21.
He managed to avoid enlistment until June 1916, when he reported to a Royal Naval Air Service training depot to become a probationary flight sub-lieutenant.
His skills as a pilot were not a patch on his compositional abilities. He managed to crash an aeroplane twice, so Marsh tactfully arranged to transfer him to the Admiralty office in central London for the rest of the war.
Novello continued to compose while serving in the air service. His first musical theatre success was Theodore and Co. in 1916, which was the result of a successful collaboration with the young Jerome Kern.
That year, Novello contributed to André Charlot's revue Seesaw, and in 1917 Marsh introduced him to the actor Bobby Andrews, who became Novello's life partner.
Andrews, in turn, introduced Novello to Noel Coward, who was 6 years younger than Novello. Coward was also deeply envious of Novello's effortless glamour.
The years following the war brought success for Novello as a composer, but also as an actor. With his classic profile and movie star good looks, he became a matinee idol, working with directors such as Alfred Hitchcock.
Novello made his stage debut in 1921 in the play De Bureau by Sacha Guitry. He also appeared as Bingley in a charity adaptation of Pride and Prejudice.
Round about this time, Novello had a brief affair with the writer Siegfried Sassoon. Sassoon's biographer, John Stuart Roberts, describes Novello as a consummate flirt who collected lovers as he gathered lilacs, a passing reference to one of Novello's much-loved songs, We'll Gather Lilacs.
As a composer, Novello dominated the British musical theatre scene from the mid-1930s to the 1950s. His shows were heavily influenced by the operettas he had grown up with. In fact, he saw Franz Lehár's Merry Widow 27 times.
Novello's shows had a highly individualistic style, blending musicals with opera, operetta, and both modern and classical dance, speaking with empathy to a country devastated by war.
The Dancing Years was the last of Novello's pre-war musicals. He starred in it and it ran for 696 performances, and it took a break when the Second World War broke out. This was the closest Novello came to his mother's early ambition for him to write operas. In this musical theatre piece, Novello plays an Austrian composer-conductor who was at the Wiener Hofoper.
Novello presented only 2 new shows during the Second World War, but one of them, Perchance to Dream, in 1945, ran for 1,022 performances.
During this time, Novello ran into trouble. He was imprisoned for 4 weeks, serving a sentence for the misuse of petrol coupons, which was a serious offence in wartime Britain.
Not everyone was supportive, but the world of entertainment is rather like the world of politics. Memories are short, and people like their celebrities. When Novello returned to the dancing years after being released from prison, he had a rapturous ovation on his first entrance.
Novello died suddenly from a coronary thrombosis, aged only 58. That same day, he had taken part in a performance of his very own King's Rhapsody.
He was cremated at the Golders Green Crematorium in London, and his ashes are buried under a lilac bush, again a reference to We'll Gather Lilacs. The plaque above it reads, Ivor Novello, 6th of March 1951. Till you are home once more.
Only a few weeks before Novello's death, Noel Coward had this to say: "Theatre, good, bad, and indifferent, is the love of his life."
Grove's Dictionary of Music suggests that he was, until the advent of Andrew Lloyd Webber, the 20th century's most consistently successful composer of British musicals.
His memory is perpetuated by many awards, including the Ivor Novello Award for Songwriting, and this was established in 1955.
Among Novello's best-loved songs are Keep the Home Fires Burning, We'll Gather Lilacs, and Waltz of My Heart.
Was Ivor Novello the George Gershwin of the British Isles? Well, that's a question for a rainy day.
Here is probably his best-known song, We'll Gather Lilacs, from the BBC Prom of 2012, where we hear the tenor Toby Spence and the soprano Sophie Bevan. Sir Mark Elder conducts the Halle Orchestra in a celebration of Ivor Novello.